So you talked about 7 steps, essentially, that millennials and anyone who needs to get a handle on their finances need to take. First step is open 2 basic bank accounts.
Yep.
What bank accounts are we talking about here?
Basically, we're talking about your checking and your savings account. You really want to look at things in terms of you need something to operate from and live off of in your day-to-day, and you need something to have as reserves. We're not talking retirement. We're talking reserves. If something bad happens with your car, if you suddenly lose your job and you need to live off of it for a little while, these are things that you're looking to your savings account
Emergency
for.
fund.
Exactly.
Kind of. Yeah.
And the great thing about having 2 accounts is the emergency fund is usually in a savings account separate from your checking, so that when you go to the ATM and see the balance, it's out of sight.
Right.
You don't look and see, like, I have all this money, I can spend more. When you see that you have a smaller balance in your checking account, it makes you feel like you don't have quite as much because you've squirreled that other money away.
Yep, and get into the habit of squirreling. It'll definitely help you in terms of, this is money you're used to living without, and then that adds up over time, and that's what the savings account is for. So,
Step number 2, create a budget. We've talked about this a lot on the show, but what specifically do you use to create a budget?
Specifically for me, I use Excel to create a budget. I've made this monster little Excel form that...
Monster little?
Yeah, it conditionally formats and all these other things. It's kind of cool. I'll kick a copy to Bro, have him evaluate it for me.
As I probably mentioned before, like the people I know who are the most ardent budgeters create their own spreadsheets. They usually do it on their own. And you actually can find templates for budgets at templates.office.com as well as a google.com sheet. So lots of people have created these and put them up there for free. So if you're looking for one, just go ahead and download it. I will also point out that in your budget, you point out that you should make someone that you are romantically involved with a line item in your budget.
It's true. And that's just kind of like an inside joke. And I also note that I leave it to you as to whether or not to tell that person they're a line item in your budget. Know that person well and think before you do that. But seriously.
Wait, have you've seriously done that?
Seriously.
You've been like, Jessica, this is the Jessica line item. And did you tell Jessica or whatever her name is how much you spent on her?
All right. Fictitiously, her name's Jessica. And yeah, I told her after dating her for like 2.5 years.
What did she say?
We were long distance and she knew me well enough and she understood.
First off, how much money did you spend on her? And what did she say when you told her?
Well, so what I mean, like we were long distance. When we would hang out, I'd set aside maybe like $900 or $1,000 to go see her. Mm-hmm. So that was like plane ticket. We're hanging out over the weekend, all this different stuff. And we would see each other like once every other month or something like that.
Wow.
Once we got closer, then it picked up. So things had to get adjusted accordingly. But if you're doing something like that and you know you're shelling out that kind of money on a regular basis, you're young, you're starting off, these are just things to consider. Otherwise, you end up, having to decide between a teddy bear for Valentine's Day or your rent. And that's what happens.
So are you actually
I think it's great.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's awesome. And he also he color codes the name based on her FICO. So if it drops, it starts going closer to red.
That is not in the article. Bro's making it up.
No. So I just... Like, are you looking at this on like an ROI perspective? Or are you like, well, I spent $500 on her and I only got a smooch, so
nope,
maybe I'm not going to spend so much on her.
No. It's all in terms of just making sure that you have a balance somewhere in your budget, and that if, for example, you decide that you want to go and take her on a $1,000 shopping spree, that $1,000 shopping spree doesn't set you back $500 next month or something out of your checking account.
Budgeting.
Ultra practical. That's all it is.
Right. Budgeting is about tracking what you spent, but also planning for what you're going to spend. And if you have a recurrent expense like visiting a long distance girlfriend, then having that part of your budget, I think, makes sense.
To be honest, like if
I want to date Johnny, that's really what I'm saying.
Obviously, but I guess like if this is how your mind is set, and you tell someone like Jessica this news, and she's less than thrilled about it, then maybe Jessica is not the girl for you, and you need a likewise practical woman who's like, oh, get out, check out your line item on my spreadsheet, and then you guys can geek out over spreadsheets.
The
and then
romantic financial advice. That's what we do.